Hi, my name is Molly Tipping, and I am a Feldenkrais practitioner working in Boorloo, Perth, Western Australia. Today, we're going to do a little bit of education and looking at our jaw, the lower jaw, and the upper jaw, which is actually kind of connected with the skull. And my beautiful skeleton here, Morag, is going to be helping us with understanding a bit more about the jaw. The first bit is a sort of demonstration and looking at the actual bony parts, and then I'll talk you through a little bit of a movement exploration that you can do as well. All right, let's get comfy. Okay, so now let's have a little look at the actual skull, and we're going to look specifically at this jaw. So when we're looking at the skull, we can see that there's this lower bone here, and that if I move it, I can open and close this skeleton's mouth. Now, this bone here is what we would normally think of when we're thinking about the jaw, which includes that kind of chin area. And it has these joints on the side here, which is where that bone connects with the skull. And that's the TMJ, or the temporal mandibular joint. So we call it TMJ for short, because that's much easier. Now, one of the things that we want to start thinking about is that there are these muscles that are coming down across from the skull to that lower jaw. And sometimes we're going to be doing movements that actually is intentionally trying to lengthen or relax those muscles. And it's very possible that over the course of your time, you've done a lot of kind of poking and prodding and massaging, or just opening and closing your jaw to try and stretch out or lengthen those muscles. What we're going to look at today is that we can open our jaw so that we've just got this lower part opening, or we could actually open our jaw by moving the top jaw, which is basically like moving the skull. And so you can see this skeleton's eyes. As you open the top jaw, the eyes end up looking toward the ceiling. Okay, so the top jaw, this part of the jaw, it is now fused with the skull. When you're a baby, it's not fused, but it's, as an adult, it's become fused with the skull. And so what it means is that if I'm going to open my top jaw, I'm actually going to be moving my skull on those balance points, which mean that the skull is actually going to pitch open. And I liken this to the movement of Pac-Man. So the Pac-Man kind of goes along and eats everything, and the lower jaw stays nice and steady. So what we're going to have a look at is, how do we open our jaw? What are the habits that we have around opening our jaw? And can we start to remember some ways of opening the jaw, which are actually going to give us a lovely sense of elongating those muscles, not just at the lower ends, but at the upper ends as well. So to start with, get comfortable. You could be lying down on your back or sitting in a chair. You can also be lying on your side. So just feel for what's actually going to work. The only thing I will say is that sitting in a chair is going to actually allow you to explore these movements possibly a little bit easier, because you won't be restricted by the floor. But give it a go, and you can play around with whichever positions you're in. So sitting and getting comfortable, but having a bit of space behind your head so you're not restricted if you're sitting, is probably going to be better. And just start to open and close your jaw. Gently opening and closing. And just noticing, as you open your mouth, as you close, what's the kind of general movement feel like? Do you have a sense that that lower jaw is predominantly doing the opening and closing, and your head is staying exactly where it was before? Notice perhaps if your jaw goes a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right as you open. And then start to notice the general arc of the movement. So the jaw might be going a little bit forward before it opens, or it might just be dropping straight down. So how does your jaw move as you open it? And keep the movement in a range that you're not forcing it into a stretch, you're not pushing into a kind of click response within the jaw. So if your jaw is clicky, just keep the movement a little bit smaller and outside of that click response. Now, take a moment to pause, and this time see if you can open your jaw, but open your jaw with the top jaw, the skull, leading the movement as if it is like a Pac-Man movement. Now, you might like to put your fingers on your low jaw so that you actually keep that jaw from moving. So it's almost like you're just going to use your fingers like nice sensors that give you feedback. And this time you're going to keep your lower jaw still and open your top jaw. So when you do this, your eyes will start looking towards the corner of the room and toward the ceiling because your whole face is going to be moving. You'll also feel at the back of your neck that the neck muscles will start to shorten. Resist the temptation to contract them and hold tension there. See if you can just relax those muscles and let them just get kind of soft and wrinkly at the back. So the throat can relax, the throat can open, and you're just very gently tipping the skull. So the weight of the skull is pitching back. And again, just do this movement really gently and in the range that feels comfortable and in the range that as you do it, it feels like it's a relaxing movement. So the activity is actually something that is going to reduce tension, not increase it. So just take a little moment, a few times, seeing, can I coordinate opening that upper jaw? Using your hands to provide a little kind of bench. You might find as you're doing this that you get this spontaneous feeling that you want to yawn, so please yawn away. Can you notice as you open your upper jaw that the space in your throat is actually expanding? You're getting a more voluminous opening in your throat. And then go back to that movement of leaving your head facing forwards, your eyes stay exactly where they are. You just open that lower jaw. Again, keeping in a range where you're not forcing the movement or getting any clicking. And then a few times open just the upper jaw again. And then take a little moment just to pause, settle back in your chair, get comfy on your back again. This little movement, this kind of Pac-Man movement, is a movement that goes back to when we were babies, and we'll see it a lot in baby birds or even adult birds as they kind of throw their heads back and sing. Also, an opera singer is going to throw their head back to open up their throat so they can really get that big volume up into those upper stalls. So come again to opening and closing your jaw, but this time see if you can open your lower and your upper jaw about the same amount, as if there's kind of something coming into your mouth and it's going to prise open both of the jaws. So the lower jaw will move down, but not faster than the upper jaw is moving up. And now you are opening the lower and the upper ends of those muscles. Let the throat be open, let the muscles at the back and neck be soft. Maybe even close your eyes if that helps you to keep the area really soft. And you might even feel as you do that, you get this spontaneous yawn. And please allow your nervous system to go into that yawn response. It's a beautiful way to open up all those muscles, and it's a lovely regulating activity for the nervous system. See if you can have a sense of that baby bird response. The kookaburra throwing open its mouth. The opera singer creating this really beautiful wide space in the throat. The little baby that opens its mouth. That you can remember this kind of very old movement that we used to do all the time. There are two types of yawns that we tend to see as we become adults. One is this kind of full body, whole mouth opening yawn, which is when our head pitches back and we really allow the whole body to go into the yawn. Or then there's the kind of yawn where the eyes stay forward and we yawn just with the lower jaw. You want to see if you can actually have more experiences of yawning with your whole jaw, the upper, lower jaw, the skull, the eyes closing, and you're softening in the back of your neck. Feeling the top end of the muscles as well as the bottom end. At some point, come back with your head balanced on your spine and see if you can sense that actually perhaps where your skull is now resting is a little bit different. Maybe you have a sense that that upper jaw is just a little more buoyant. We can have these habits of pulling our jaw, our top jaw back and kind of locking at those first few vertebrae. But actually, when we let there be a little bit of buoyancy in the upper jaw, then we've got buoyancy of the skull on top of the spine. And actually, that's going to make our neck and our jaw feel a lot better. So just sense, where would you like to have your upper jaw and your lower jaw that feels really good for your skull and how it's settling and resting on those upper vertebrae on your spine. Opening and closing the jaw. The lower jaw can open on its own. The upper jaw can open on its own, or you can do both at the same time. And then just allowing that to fall away and taking a little moment just to sit back or to lie back on your mat. And just sense how your head, your eyes, your throat, your neck feel different just in that small movement that you've done with your jaw. Notice if there's any difference in the tension, or it feels like you want to rest your head or place your head in a slightly different position. Sometimes the eyes will feel really different because if we're changing the placement of our skull, well, actually our eyes are going to adjust to that. And then at some point you might come to sitting and standing and just get curious about your upper jaw. and your lower jaw. Where would you like to place your skull on your spine so that your upper and lower jaw feel buoyant and available for movement? This could be something that you do on a semi-regular basis to keep that feeling of openness and space in your jaw. Or it might just be something that you do when you notice that your jaw is feeling a little tight. A lot of the time when our jaw is feeling tight, we're massaging the area and we're doing those lower jaw openings to try and actually relieve that tension. So make sure when you're doing the movements that you're also doing upper jaw openings and whole jaw openings. So the upper and the lower both are open. I hope this has been something that's useful to add in. And of course, any comments or any questions, just pop them down below. Have a great day.